I'm Ariane, and I'm the captain and founder of Aeolidia, a web design company. I'm going to be reviewing some websites live today. If you didn't get a chance to reply to my email and send your site URL, if you are interested in being one of the sites that we look at today, please go ahead and pop your URL into the chat. And I will see if I can grab at least one of those to include with the ones that I got over email so everybody has a good chance to get reviewed. I will assure you that even if we don't look at your site, everybody always tells me that they get lots of ideas and notes and they have plenty of things to do on their own site as they're looking at other people's websites. So this should be pretty useful whether you have your site up on screen or not. So I am going to share my screen. You should be seeing a slide that says live website reviews. And if you don't, you probably will see some tabs up top that let you pick whether you're going to look at my screen or my smiling face. So hopefully you can find that. If you have any technical troubles, it's just me today. So you'll have to check out the replay if you're having any trouble with hearing my audio or seeing my screen, but we're going to make sure to get that to you as soon as possible. All right. I'm going to dive right in and just start taking a look at some websites with you. Just a quick overview so you get the feeling that I might have some idea what I'm talking about is my team has been working on Shopify for 21 years now. Shopify is all that we do. If you aren't on Shopify, no worries. Everything I'm talking about can happen in a different platform. But this will be focused on e-commerce today. So if you have a service-based site or an informational site, this might not be focused on exactly what you're doing, but if you're selling anything online, this should be helpful. So my team helps merchants. We do branding, we build Shopify websites, we redesign Shopify websites, we optimize and maintain Shopify websites, and we also help with email marketing because it pretty much is required to have a successful e-commerce business to have a good email marketing strategy. So that is us. And then while you're all getting settled in, and if you want to, popping your URL into the chat so I can take a look at your site, I'm going to bring up the first site that somebody emailed me. So this is Free Wild She, and I am wondering if Chandrea, the owner of this site, is here today. Chandrea, are you here? If you are, feel free to unmute for a second.
Hi.
And say hi. Hi. Is there anything in particular that you would like advice on, or just any direction you'd like to give me as I'm taking a look? Like maybe a main primary concern of yours about the site?
My biggest concern, I think, is just like my product pages. Am I giving enough information? Am I giving the right information?
Okay, that is great. So I'll spend a little time on the homepage and then I will jump in and look at one of your product pages so we can talk about that. And that should be helpful to everybody. Okay, thanks so much. Here I go. My little caveat that I'm going to give everybody is it's not necessarily super helpful if I tell you everything that's going right. So it might seem like I'm focusing on everything that is going wrong. Never fear, this does not mean your entire site is a shambles. It just means I'm trying to give you some things that you could change that would make it work even better. The sites that I pulled up, none of them here are disasters, but they're all sites that look like they're probably working but could be working better. So we're going to take a look at this one. And I try not to look at the sites too much in advance. I looked at them this time because I wanted to make sure we saw a couple different things, but usually I go in pretty blind. So if I don't understand what you're selling, I will tell you that. So I'm taking a look here. I'm seeing infuse life with flavor and intention. That is great because that is telling me what I'm going to get out of it. We have got three important things that set this brand apart. And then I can see I can shop bitters and shop tea. So my first impression is I probably can buy bitters and tea from here. When I look at the navigation, there is a shop all, and I see bitters, tea, macrame, bestsellers, and then some other categories. Macrame surprises me a little bit as a customer, so I'll take a look at that in a second. But I think it's kind of repetitive to have shop all bitters tea and then bitters and tea here. there are so few categories, I think it'd probably be better just to have them here and not hidden behind this shop all menu. And this is something I see a lot. So all of those you watching, if your website has a shop all or a shop in the navigation, usually there's a better way to do that so people can understand exactly what's happening right away. Because if I just pop onto your site from Google or social media or something and I see shop, I don't quite know what you sell yet. But if I see bitters, tea, macrame, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand where I am. So that's just one thought for the navigation, and we will look at navigation a little more closely on another site, but I do want to have a chance to look at the product page here. Okay, so we see some lovely nature. We've got some text here and two choices. Usually we want to do one choice here just to keep things simple, but I think since the shop sells two things, it makes perfect sense to let people jump in one or the other. Because when I'm in a tea mood, I'm not really thinking about bitters and vice versa. I would love to see just maybe a description of what this is. Like we see sustainable, handmade, and distinctive. Maybe a little bit more about what makes it distinctive here or what I should know. Kind of your little elevator pitch would be super handy. Bestsellers is a good way to start. That reassures me that you have bestsellers, so things are selling, and it makes me feel like I'm kind of missing out a bit. I want that too. One thing I noticed about your photos, I feel like this is a really nice composition, but since your products have so many words on them, it feels like they're small. Like I would like to be a little more close up so I can really see what this is, and then maybe see it in practice. And since all four of these are on the same background, um, that gives you uniformity, but I think it's perhaps like a little too uniform. I want to see the personality of each one of these products. I think actually this next photo that shows the product surrounded by the ingredients is a little more informative for me. I might want to see that first. I'd love to know more about how, like, why is it calm? Why is it joy? Let me know why I'm gonna find more calm and joy. A little more description here could be nice, and maybe some kind of photo. And then down here, like this kind of photograph is just what I'm thinking. It's showing me like the bitters bottle and then the results of the bitters and kind of giving me this cool vibe that I want to be experiencing. I think that's great. And then this tea one, I would love to see your packaging next to this so it just doesn't feel like a random stock photo of tea, but your actual tea. Um, and then again, like this one's a little different from the ones above. That is fine. But I guess when I see it on this wood background, I don't know if this is something to drink or something for my skin or some kind of room freshener, right? It's not really specific to what the product is. Down here we have the values. This is good. It's quite a bit to read and nothing to see, so people are pretty impatient online. If these could be illustrated with some kind of icon or a photo or something, people might pay a little more attention here. Um, this is a good one. So I'm going to mention the Shopify. If you're on Shopify, this shop all category is usually just a mess. I'm happy to say that yours isn't. Okay, so here we have it divided into categories and good photos of the categories so I understand what's happening. We'll see if we see this on another site, but sometimes people just link to the shop all page on Shopify and it's just every product in what seems like random order. And the more products you have, the more confusing it is. So we usually don't recommend sending people here unless you have organized it nicely. And then we have recipes. One of these is missing a photo. I think this is like maybe a lot of info. So maybe just the photo and the name would be fine here. And then I can go and learn more about it. And then I have traveled down to the footer, and this footer has almost nothing in it. So we'll talk about footers a bit more, and I'll share an example, but I'm noticing a few things. So I peeked at your site before. I think I remember this is the one where the pop-up came up immediately that said 15% off, and I didn't know what was going on yet. But whether it was or not, that is one thing I like to let people know. You don't really want your pop-up to come up instantly because in most cases people don't know who you are yet and they don't know if they care. So if you can adjust it so that it shows up after like a certain amount of scrolling on the page or a certain amount of time reading or waiting until it looks like the person is leaving, which is called the exit intent, that might be a better way to get your pop-up up when somebody is ready to take action. I'm also noticing that this says 15% off and it brings back this offer. But I assume this is the same thing, getting on your newsletter, and this says want recipes and product updates. So it feels like I can get recipes right here. Product updates are generally not too compelling for most brands unless you have something that like has limited edition drops and sells out right away or something. So I would just come up with a tempting offer that's also consistent everywhere where you're asking for somebody's email address. And then down in the footer, this little blank footer, I would love to see all the shop links again, because maybe I've read through everything and now I'm like, okay, I do want some bitters, but I've got to, scroll up and find it again. I notice when I scroll up a bit, oh, your menu comes up. So probably I could find it, but it's also just good practice to have all your shop categories here again so people can go shopping, which is what you want them to do. And then it's nice to have stuff about the business and maybe some customer service stuff here that's really easy to find. So I see you do have all your little policies here, but they feel like legalese, not necessarily like a help area where I can go and figure things out. So I'd love to just see a little more info in the footer. And then the last thing I'm going to do is look at a product page and then we'll look at another site. So let's look at bitters since that's the first button. I assume that's what you want me to be interested in. And here is a missed opportunity. You don't have a description of the category here. So this is a wonderful way both to let people know what are your bitters for? What's special about them? Why should I buy these bitters instead of some other bitters? It's also a good way to fit in any kind of keywords that your dream customer is searching for to find this kind of bitters, because Google will look at your collection page description and start featuring you more highly for whatever words that you get in there. You want it to be like a reasonable piece of text that people would actually read, not just a bunch of keywords in a row. So maybe just a few sentences, a short paragraph or something like that to both orient customers and get Google to understand what your deal is. And then filters are good if you have enough things to fill them out. So I see quite a few of these have 5 or 4. I think that's pretty reasonable. If you had filters here, but there was really only 1 or 2 things per filter, I feel like that would be overkill. And the use here, looks super useful. And then just for everybody, you can change this to only show the sort by for things that actually matter to you and your products. So just make sure there's nothing here that doesn't make sense at all. For example, if every bottle of bitters cost exactly the same, price low to high would be silly to have here, so you could remove that. Okay, let's look at a product. We'll look at the barrel-aged aromatic bitters. Okay, so we have our nice photo gallery. This looks pretty standard. It says shipping's going to be calculated at checkout. That makes me like a little bit nervous because I'm hoping it's not going to be $1 million, especially in these days when all kinds of tariff fees are being added for customers. One thing we often see at the top of the site is a little announcement bar, and it's usually used to tell you when you get free shipping. It's something that people kind of expect. You do not have to offer free shipping to your customers, but it can be nice to give them expectations about what it's going to look like when they get to check out. So if your shipping is like, maybe you want to say $5 shipping once you've spent $50 or something like that, or just $10 flat rate shipping. Whatever info you can share if it's possible just kind of reassures people, because sometimes I'm shopping and I'm like, oh, $20, I can afford that. And then when I get to checkout, it's like, oh, I actually can't. So that's just one thing to think about. The add to cart button is right up here at the top where I can see it, and it is a nice bold contrasting color where it doesn't blend in and I can use it. So that's wonderful. One thing that is missing here that's super important is I don't see product review stars or product reviews. Product reviews are very important. I am going to skip the lecture about product reviews until maybe the next slide or two, and I'm also sending over some information about product reviews after. But basically, customers want to know that other people have bought it and liked it, and customers have been trained by Amazon and Yelp and Google Maps and everywhere in the world to want to know what other people think about something. So getting reviews on your site is super important and something that will make a big difference. I know it is not fun and it's a pain and a hassle, but I'll share some tips about doing that at some point. Okay, I think I'm going to move on so I have time to look at three sites. I'm going to peek in the comments here in the chat um, and see which one. I'm going to just randomly pull one up here. Let's let's see what this one is. Hello, Julie. We're going to look at Blossom and Shine. Do you want to unmute for a second and just say hi and maybe let me know what you'd like me to look at, or just I can do my regular thing?
Hello.
Hello.
I would love if you did basically what you just did on the last one, kind of the navigation, the home page, and a product page. That would be awesome.
Okay, let's do that. Here I
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, so this pop-up popped up pretty quickly. It's nice because I see a photo of what I'm gonna get and I see what's gonna happen for me. I think I just want that to wait just a second so I can glance at the site a little bit more. But that's a pretty decent pop-up. We have what looks like a pretty straightforward site here. We have free shipping on orders over $50. And then we have $5 flat rate shipping. And this thing is whizzing around and it looks like it's just two things and it's not super lengthy. So I would turn this into one thing to prevent my eyes from bugging out and just also to make it more simple. Like I'm kind of sitting here like, what's it going to be next? But it's only two things and they're both about shipping. So I might mention $5 flat rate shipping, free over 50. And then one note for people who are offering free shipping over a certain amount, what we like to do to pick that amount is we like to look at what people normally spend in our shop and get them to spend a little bit more. I think our general recommendation is maybe 35-ish% more. So if people usually spend, I don't know, $50 with you, you might want to try bumping it up to $55 or 60 or whatever seems reasonable based on your products. And that way you get customers to spend maybe just a little bit more than they normally do. So then it's worth it for you and worth it for them because they get that free shipping. So if you're thinking about doing that, that is one strategy. So I see social media links up here. Definitely don't recommend that because these are the most distracting places on the internet and you don't want to send people there before they've gotten a chance to learn about your shop. It's fine to have these, but we like to stick them down in the footer so people just go there if they've gotten to the point where it's like, oh, they're not buying, but maybe they'll follow me on Instagram and they'll come back a different time. Okay, so we do have the shop link here, and I would rather see earrings, necklaces, rings, bracelets all across the top. So just it's like walking into a department store, like you or a grocery store, right? Like you go in and you can see big signs that say deli over here or sportswear over here or whatever. And as soon as you walk in the store, you kind of know where to go and what's going on without having to, I don't know, like look at a map or something, right? So if you can pull out your actual top level collections and make them visible in the navigation, we pretty much always recommend that. Our guideline for how many links to have across the top before it gets overwhelming to customers is no more than 8. 8 is going to be a lot. So it's good to take some time and figure out what are your top few categories. And then for creative brands, it's often great to see the about page. And if you have room, it can be nice to put the contact link up here. If you're getting like to that number of links, like 8 links, and that is too many, it's also fine to have your contact info down at the bottom. So we have collections, and some of these have some filters underneath and some don't. I think there's going to be a tidy way to just get all this visible. Like maybe collections can stay like this, or maybe there's a nicer way to do that. This is not the kind of thing where I can solve the problem during like a quick 10-minute look at a site, because when we're working on navigation for a shop, we have like a complicated spreadsheet and multiple people from the team get together and try and work on it. And it takes us an hour or two to figure out good navigation in many cases. So not something with a quick fix, but definitely something worth spending some time on. And it's also nice to see how people are using your site. So it's possible to use software to kind of get videos of how to see how people are using your site. But I think the simplest way to do this is just to take somebody that you know in your life who's maybe not like super close to your products and your business, and have them sit down and ask them to like try to buy something, like try to buy a turquoise ring here or something, and just kind of talk me through your experience as you're doing it. And then you can have them do kind of like me, where they're just like, okay, so rings, I'll go here. Oh, I don't know which one I want. I'll go to view all. And you can find out where they get confused, or you can watch them go backward if they don't understand where to go. And then you can kind of understand how people are using your navigation and where you might be losing them. So I have not seen bundle and save as categories very often. That is something you could do. I don't have advice on that. Normally, I think I would be looking at a necklace and then it would tell me if I could bundle it, or I would see the bundled product in the collection itself. And I do kind of wonder if the word bundle is maybe something that we as people in retail understand, but a shopper is maybe not so familiar with the word bundle. Shine perks. I'm guessing that's some kind of VIP program, but I don't really like links where I have to guess what it is. So if there's a different way to describe this link, so I get it before I go to the page, what is it? I get exclusive rewards, I get exciting perks. Whatever is the most basic way to describe this, and then call it Shine Perks once I click, I think that would be great. And then I see that sometimes with blogs. Like sometimes somebody wants their blog to have a really fun name, and they'll call it that fun name here, but I'm just like, what could that be? I'm not expecting it. I'd rather see blog here, and then when I click to the blog, the title is that fun name. Okay, so there's a lot going on your site. So this top thing is whizzing around. You'll notice I'm hiding comment right now. And then this slideshow is like going and going, and we've got the 15% pop-up here. We've got the rewards here. So the rewards is at the bottom, and also up here in the navigation, you might pick one or the other. I'm guessing this one that floats here would probably be better because I don't usually see that in navigation. So let's talk about slideshows while things are flying around here. Slideshows are kind of a dated concept that people used to really love on the internet and now aren't recommended for a couple of reasons. If you make it the kind where the watcher can control it, like by clicking on the next one, they pretty much never do. Like if you look at screen recordings of people using your site, they aren't clicking around and trying to make the slideshow move. And then if you make it move yourself, it's just like maybe they weren't done reading it, or they were about to click and then it flew out of the way. So people are not afraid to scroll on a website. So generally, if there's two things we want to show them, just go ahead and show them one at a time. Show this one and some other stuff, and then show the next one. It's fine. They will go and look at it. But the slideshow's a lot. And with this top thing flipping around and the slideshow flipping around and then this thing flying around, I'm feeling a little bit dizzy. That might just be me. I like this information, but I don't know that it needs to be scrolling in a ticker. I think it's more likely that people are going to read it if it's just written out. And I feel like things that move are meant more for, I don't know, like something that's an alert that you really want to draw people's attention to. But I think there are nicer ways to draw people's attention. So we close that pop-up, but it's nice because we can get it back here and have the exact same offer. So that's just something I wanted to point out. It's good to have the same offer, like we mentioned before. I feel like jewelry that speaks your story crafted with love is a bit generic. And also, as a customer, me personally, I'm like, what is my story? How do you know my story? How are you going to speak it? So this kind of leaves me with more questions than feeling like, oh yeah, I totally get it. I'd love to know. Well, here's the thing for everybody. Actually, let's do my thing. My thing for a homepage is I want to know, what is it? So this is fine. I understand it's jewelry. Who is it for? That I don't really know yet. It doesn't feel like it's for a specific type of person. Like, does it speak everybody's story, or is there a specific type of person that it's good for? So if I feel like, oh yeah, this is the kind of jewelry that's totally for me. Like for example, it's for nature lovers. I want to have a ring with a seashell on it. Not everybody wants that, but I want it. Then I feel like I'm in the right place. And then why should I care is my last of the three questions. So what is it, who is it for, and why should I care? Why should I care is like, well, there's lots of jewelry in the world. This says the words one of a kind and totally unique, but why? How do I know that? Is it? Have I seen stuff like this before? So I just want you to think about, what makes my products and my business different from even my closest competitor? Like, just think of that person where you're like, they're almost doing what I'm doing. What makes you different that's meaningful to your customer, like something they would care about? And if you do not know that, I can promise your customer does not know that either because you haven't been communicating it. So that would be my number one takeaway. If you don't feel solid on those three things, that is the most impactful thing you could probably do for your website right now, is figure out um, how to explain what it is you do, how to make sure you're talking to the right people and they feel like they're in the right place, and then what is special about what you do. Okay, so we have new products. That makes sense. Here they are. I understand. This red color makes me think these are on sale or something's happened with the price. So if that's not the case, I would just make this black. Meet the maker. This is great. I love to see a maker, especially in their studio. I would say to anybody here that is designing their product or physically making it, we love to see that. And if I'm shopping, I love to like watch this earring or whatever getting made. And I like to be able to tell that story if you have a cool story. So when somebody's like, cool ring, bro, I can say, oh my gosh, I got it from this artist in wherever, and the thing she does that's cool is such and such. Like, that just makes it more fun for me and more tempting to buy. So yeah, definitely don't shy away from telling your story. It's great that you've got that there. It would not hurt to have a little blurb about you here, like a couple sentences before I click over to learn more. Shop by category. This is a good way for people to dive in if they haven't decided what they want yet, because they can kind of see what each of your things looks like and they can jump in somewhere. Love having testimonials on the homepage or reviews or whatever works. It's really great if they have a name. It's even better if you can show the product they bought, and even better if you can show the product they bought like on their finger or whatever it is. Because then this looks completely realistic to other people who want to buy and they want to also be in on this excitement. We've got like some objection busting here, which is amazing. So if you think about the kind of things that where people might choose not to buy from you, and they're like, oh, what if the ring doesn't fit? That's going to be a pain. And then they're like, oh, okay, free returns and exchanges, that's fine. Or they're going, I've got sensitive skin. Is this even going to work for me? And then they see that and they're reassured. And then the warranty also, maybe they're like, oh, hey, this is handmade. What if it falls apart? Because they're not used to shopping handmade, right? So having this warranty is super reassuring too. Okay, so join the VIP fam. First order discount. Let's go ahead and say 15% because you say it somewhere else. And then VIP access is nice if you're not saying the same sort of thing here. You've got VIP here, that's fine. I just want to make sure these match so I don't feel like there's two different things I have to sign up for. And then we have the social media down here, which is a perfectly fine place to have your social media. You don't need to say your site's powered by Shopify unless you want to give them some credit. It's fine to not have that there.
Hey, sweetie.
Yes, hello.
I'm okay. Just a feeling just a little off. Yeah. How are you?
Oop, looks like somebody's having a little chat there. Okay, so down in the footer, we have got About Us and we have Customer Care, which are two of the things I talked about in that footer that was a little empty. I would love to also see the shop categories here, so just add a third column. I am going to skip to the next one because I see that we're half an hour in and I want to make sure we have time to look at all of them. So I have another one on my list from somebody who emailed me that I'd like to pull up. Let me grab that for you. Every time I'm doing Zoom, it just sits on top of all the buttons I want to click. All of its menu is on top of everything I'm trying to do. So thank you for your patience. I want to look at a site that looks pretty great and well branded and organized and show you that even if your site is looking really professional and awesome, there's often a lot that you can do to optimize it. So this is Family Tree Notebooks, which is Carly. Carly, I think you're here. Are you here? Do you want to say hello?
I am here. Hello.
Hi. Is there anything specifically that you are concerned about on your site or you would like me to look at?
I don't know where I'm supposed to be sending people, so I feel like I'm shoving everything at them with no rhyme or reason. So anything you
Okay.
can tell me would be great.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to jump in on this one. Thanks for that little bit of insight. So this is kind of interesting because I guess jewelry is a pretty straightforward product. People know what jewelry is, they know how to buy it. But this is like a genealogy notebook and there's different things you can buy and it is fairly complicated. I've glanced at this for like 10 seconds, but already I had some questions. So I'll just show you where I'm getting a little confused. Okay, family tree notebooks. I have a thing here about cookies and tracking pixels that I want to say got it too. It's funny when I hover over it, it gives me the no mouse. I don't know why. It let me click it, but now I'm on the email list. So you might want to look at that bar and see if there's something wrong with it. I also think you don't have to show that to everyone everywhere, but just in countries or states where it is required by law. I'm in Washington State and I don't think I need to see that cookie bar, but I don't know what the most up-to-date info on that is. So it might be worth looking into just to like take away a little something annoying if you don't have to show it to everybody. Okay, so we have family tree notebooks. It says genealogy made simple, which lets me know we're doing genealogy here, but this wording is like a little small. So I'm hoping that we're going to see more wording about genealogy as we keep going. So I understand these aren't like day planners or some other kind of notebook. We have social media links, proud and happy right here, but we already talked about that. Let's move those to the footer and make sure people are just shopping with you. Okay, I never need to see a home link in the navigation just because you have limited space here. You want to use it well. You don't need people to be going backwards. You need them to be going forwards to check out. And pretty much everybody I think knows we can click the logo to go back home. So I would remove that. If anybody has that in their navigation, it's really not necessary. I don't know for sure that this is a shop because it says start here and that has just a bunch of instructions. It says pages and then list of all the pages. That is like, that's too much work. I would just make it be pages. So you only have to do one click since you only have one choice here. And then books, this seems like info again. So none of these things really are making me feel like I'm shopping yet at all. So if I can buy pages, for example, maybe this should say shop pages, or maybe everything in the top should be purchasable, and then there can be some help as the final thing in the list. Maybe people have been following you on Instagram and they get it, or they've been watching videos that you do or something and they just want to start shopping. Let's make sure it's obvious we can shop. When I click start here even, so I am somebody who was very interested in genealogy quite a while ago, but not too recently. But I'm like, okay, how do I get started? When I click start here, do I want to pick getting started? Do I want to pick step-by-step instructions? I'm just starting out. That's why I'm curious. So it just feels like there's a lot of work here for me. I haven't clicked through to each of these pages, but I almost wonder if you could have one page that then has categories that people can click from at the top, like a table of contents kind of thing. And then, oh, I keep ending up on the email list every time I move my mouse. Oh, I see. When I'm hovering over this entire area, when I click it, it takes me to join the email list. Oh, get your free pages is joining the email list. Okay, that's not super understandable. I would want, I guess I still don't even know. Can I buy books? Am I downloading pages? Okay, I'm a confused person. So it looks like your main call to action is to get people on your email list. But then once you click it, it feels like a mistake because it doesn't say get your free pages. It says join the email list. And I have to read. And people are very impatient online. They don't read. So, I mean, they do once they're like settled and getting started, but you have to assume that most of the people on your website like have a toddler pulling on their knee or they're like hanging off a subway strap is how I like to think about it. How can we make it super simple? If you are selling something, I would think that purchasing would be the main thing that we would want here, not subscribing to your mailing list, and then the mailing list would be the next thing. So then we have reviews, but I still don't totally feel like I understand what you do. So before reviews, I'd like to see a description of what it is, who it's for, why I should care, like everything we talked about. And then, okay, it's digital downloads. It looks like it's digital downloads and probably not any physical products, but it's taken me too much work to figure that out. So your navigation should say something about digital downloads. So it could say download pages or purchase PDF. I don't know. I haven't thought this out, so don't take these random things I'm saying as like gospel that it's definitely what you would do. But I would want to think about different ways to word it so people totally understand they are buying something and it's going to be a download, not a package that comes in the mail to them. And then for the books, okay, we're getting a book bundle. Are we using like a spiral binder? How are we putting these pages together? This is something I want to know. How do I make it a book if it is all downloads? Is it digital or is it something I'm going to print out? So lots of questions. Okay, it says print here. See, people don't read. Build books one page at a time. How do I turn it into a book? I just love to see some examples. Instead of just this image over and over, it might be nice to see somebody's book or see a step by step. Like maybe there's a 1, 2, 3, and you show a photo. It's like maybe it's print the pages and you show a photo of them popping out the printer. And then
Oof.
next one is put it into your binder or whatever it is you do, just so people don't get overwhelmed at the start. Okay. This is definitely the most confused I've been in a while. But yeah, there's lots of ways to sell things online that are not, they don't fit in the standard like Shopify template, right? It doesn't necessarily make sense with the way that you would sell a regular physical product. So the blog is great. I think it'd be nice to know like what makes this system better or different than other systems. Maybe you've been using another system and you want to switch. Is there a way I can do that? And I'm guessing that you have tons of info because we have all this info here, but people are impatient and they're not necessarily going to go, okay, I'm doing getting started now, which is now I'm understanding why you want them on your mailing list because there's probably a lot they need to learn. And I'm hoping you have like a welcome series that walks you through each of these things one by one so they can get themselves to the point where they're confident and they want to purchase from you. So it's interesting, it says the shop here, and then underneath it says Facebook group, which is not the shop, and then we've got some legalese stuff, and then about. This just sort of feels like a junk drawer, and I'd love to see it neatly organized. Like, I want to see, here's the things I can purchase. Here's all the help I can get from you, because you have all that help at the top about getting started and what to do. I'd love to see like instructions, advice, ideas as a section, and then all the stuff about getting help with like refund policy and things like that, or how does it work or something. And I think it would also be great to pull some of this out to your homepage. So maybe you've got sections on the homepage that are like, I'm just starting out, or what if my research isn't organized? Maybe you could show an example and have some wording. Okay, so that was just some wild ideas. There's like, this requires a lot of strategy and a lot of thinking and a lot of figuring out how people are using the site or want to use the site and where they get confused. For those of you watching who do have like maybe a more complicated non-standard product, if you're having a hard time figuring out how to talk people into it or make it make sense, I'm assuming there's other people that sell something like what you do, and maybe even big companies that do it. It never hurts to take a look at their site to see how they make it make sense. So you might want to look at some of your competitors. You don't want to copy them. You want to do your own thing, but you do want to get ideas for like, how do people make this make sense? If you can find a competitor that's like a bigger company or has been around forever or has lots of customers, you can assume that they've probably put quite a bit of time into strategy and planning. We're not just going in there and taking all their strategy and planning the way that it is. We're just using it to kind of get inspired and understand what makes sense on a site like this. Because when I'm glancing at this site, I feel like there's a couple other sites I want to pop up and look at and be like, well, how do they do this? How do they explain it? And even if it's not exactly what you do, it might be a day planner brand, but maybe there's a lot that's similar about how customers purchase and use it and all that kind of thing. Okay, I want to show everybody, I want time to do questions, and I want to show you guys a site that is like pretty well organized. Just the do this example rather than the don't do this example. So this is We have a service. Our simplest service is called Simple Shopify Design. It used to be called Website in a Week. And for one brief moment during the pandemic, it was Website in a Day, which was very spicy. But we found that people need a little more time to get all their stuff together. So this is our simplest Shopify Design service. This is somebody that came to us and they were selling mostly on Etsy, and they just wanted a very well-planned Shopify site that they knew everything worked correctly and nothing was wrong, and they were like ready to go with a good site. So I just wanted to show you that even for our most affordable service, we're still putting all of that user experience, research, and understanding into the site. We're putting in everything that we know about web accessibility and making sure your site is legally compliant with like ADA rules and guidelines. And we're thinking about getting your branding in there, explaining a product that is maybe not completely self-explanatory. All that kind of strategy and preparation goes into even our simplest project. So this is Kimono Momo. I just want to point out a few things. We've got that flat rate shipping on all orders. So they're not using this to increase their average order value, but they are using it so you don't get surprised during checkout. You can just tell at a glance that they sell fabric, thread, sashiko and needlework, knitting and crochet, tools and notions. I don't have to do any work to figure out what they sell. And then when I hover over, I can see like all of the categories. I can look at it by brand. For each one of these main collections, we see a little photo, so we get an idea of what is going to be here, and then it's divided up in different ways. So this is just a nice way to lay out a navigation. This menu that pops up a photo and more info in a list is called a mega menu, and it's one option if you have quite a few categories or subcategories. We have their branding here with this sort of sashiko fabric border. We have a photo showing some products that they sell. There's a little explanation of what it is and where they get it. And when you click this, it's going to go straight to all their sashiko supplies. This is the sort of elevator pitch I was talking to you about, like what is it, who's it for, why do I care? So we can see that they work directly with Japanese artists. That might be very different than if you're just shopping in like a Michael's store or something like that. And it gives you an idea of what it's about. So we dive right into a few of their top categories here. It's not every category, but it's the ones we're likely to want to head to. They have a little space here for news and announcements. So they're having an open house. There's this compelling picture to keep us interested when our minds are starting to drift. We have this little bit of branding here with the sashiko fabric. So at this point, you might be going, what in the world is sashiko? So most of their customers might know because maybe they've been Googling for that or seeing them on Instagram. But for people who just hop over here and they don't quite know what's going on, we have like, here's this what is section with a photo, a little description, then we can go learn more. Well, we want to be able to shop, right? How do we choose the fabric and thread? What kind of tools are we going to gather? So you can see these three things both help the customer by making everything make sense and giving them a good place to jump in if they're new, and answering those questions. And it also helps the company, Kimono Momo, because this article is about how to choose the fabric and thread, which you're going to buy from them. This article is about how to gather the tools you need, which you're going to buy from them. So this helps the customer know what's happening, and it helps the company sell more products because they're making it make sense. And then we have this, they've pulled out a few favorite testimonials here, and these are great. They're showing the product and they've got the person's name, and you can click through and see them on your own time schedule without them whizzing around. But also they've put the first one they really want you to see here. So if you don't bother to click through, you at least see one good testimonial and you know there are more. And then this shows us the owner and some of the things she likes. So we feel a little behind the scenes here. We're getting the story, we're interested. And now we know Carol a tiny bit, even if we just came from Google or nowhere. And we can shop Carol's picks here, and we can scroll through and see some of her favorite things, which can be a nice way to get started if we don't know how. And then we have a description of the studio. They have a physical location, so it's always nice to show that, and some photos to give us a feel for it, and some blog posts. They do events, so we put a calendar here on their homepage. That might be something that makes sense for you, or perhaps not. And then you'll see, so I'd already opened this. We didn't see the newsletter pop up, but this matches with their newsletter pop up, and it's simple. We've got the shop categories here, and we have all the info here. And then their privacy policy and things like that are down here. So pretty straightforward, nice site. It looks super professional. It's got their brand here, and it kind of answers all those questions that we have been talking about so far. So I am going to start looking in the chat for questions, and if anybody wants to unmute and pop in and ask me something, that is also great. And then I'm going to drop my own thing in the chat. So ignore this QR code and URL. I mean, they work and it's fine. You can go do that. But I'm going to give you a shortcut and give you the link so you don't have to sign up again for my mailing list because you're already on it. So if you'd like to save yourself a moment of time and not enter your email address again, please take a peek at the chat. And I have put in our website, aeolidia.com/do's and don'ts. This covers a lot of stuff I didn't have time to talk about today, recaps the stuff I did talk about, and gives you some ideas of how to work on your site. No worries if you don't grab that link now or don't have a chance to look at it, because we will email you with that link and the replay. And then just here's some info to contact me. So I'm going to take a look in the chat to see what questions are being asked. And if anybody just wants to pop in and say hi and ask a question with their voice, that is perfectly fine. Somebody is asking me if we work on Squarespace. We don't, because we don't believe Squarespace is going to get you the best results for e-commerce. So if you're selling online, Shopify just has more features that help with sales. The Shopify checkout, if you have used it, if you use Shop Pay, I have almost accidentally purchased things from Shopify sites before because the checkout is so great. So we just feel like we're doing you a disservice if we spend a bunch of time and money with your shop on Squarespace. We do, however, help people migrate from Squarespace all the time, and I'd be happy to, if you want to email me, share more information about that. Does Shopify make sense from a cost perspective if you have a minimal amount of items to sell? I would want to look at the prices specifically for you. So look at the plan that you would want to do and see what it would cost. For me, I think when you say a minimal amount of items to sell, I'm assuming if you suddenly had thousands of customers that wanted your items, you would be able to sell thousands of them. In that case, yes, Shopify makes sense, and you just need to get enough traffic to support it. But if, for instance, you only want to sell 3 things a month because you're hand making them and you're not having any problems selling those 3 things a month, I don't think it makes sense to be on Shopify. Probably you could do that just from Instagram or an email list and not even have an online shop. So it just depends on what your specific circumstances are. But yeah, when people tell me the Shopify fees are too high, I guess my feeling about that is you just need to get a lot of traffic to your site and sell more products, and then it makes perfect sense. So it's a good place to start off on, and maybe give you a little kick in the pants to make sure it is worth the cost by making sure you're getting traffic. And actually, that is a good tangent. So we're talking today about how to make your site better. I have another talk that I do, and I think we'll point you to the YouTube recording of the last time I did it, which is my talk about when should you focus on traffic and when should you focus on tactics, which is messing around with your site. And I find that most small businesses, like, it feels okay to work on your site, or you think you can make your site better and you'll make more money. But in most cases, as long as your site is working and it's not just like terrible, in most cases, it makes more sense to spend most of your time trying to drive more traffic to your site. And then once you're getting a bunch of traffic and you have a bunch of customers, now you can be like, how do I optimize this site and make it work even better? Because maybe my conversion rate is 1% and I want it to be 3%. So 3 times as many people purchase from me. Then it makes sense to work on the site. But if you spend a lot of time making the site better and better and better, but you have like 10 visitors a day, it's going to be really hard to make money online. So the average conversion rate, which is the number of visitors that convert into customers by buying from you is 1 to 3%. That's a very low percent. So you can just do the math kind of backwards to figure out how many visitors you need to get how many sales you want. If you want 100 sales a day and you're getting 100 visitors a day, that's just not going to happen because all those people aren't going to buy from you. So e-commerce is kind of a numbers game, and traffic is usually the thing that people need more than working on their website. However, if you don't have a website, if you're on a platform that isn't working well, or if your website is a mess, or you just want to feel very confident promoting your website, it can be great to like join us for a project and make sure you have something that's going to work really well, but then you got to do the work to get a bunch of traffic to it to make sure it pays off. And then Carly says, I have quite a bit of traffic, but they hit my site and don't know what to do. So now I have a lot of ideas of why that's happening. Yeah. So if you do feel like, hey, there's a lot of people, I look in my stats and there's a lot of people showing up here. It seems like more of them should be buying. If you're on Shopify, when you look at your stats, you should be able to see what your conversion rate is. If it is like low, like sometimes we see conversion rates that are even less than 1%, right? You can be like, oh, well, this website is kind of broken. This is not good. I need to have a higher conversion rate, and then more of these people will be buying from me. Oh, Teresa, this is a wonderful question. I love this question. So we didn't talk much about product photography. Teresa asks, are the pictures of the products taken from our mobile phone enough, or should they be taken by a professional? I haven't seen the pictures from your mobile, so I don't know. But that's the other thing. I did tell you the one most important thing you could do is answer those 3 questions. So that's kind of your brand strategy. What is it? Who is it for? Why should they care? The second most important thing you can do is also not about the technical aspect of your website. You need to have amazing photography. It needs to look super professional. It needs to be clear. It needs to answer questions about the product. I need to be able to tell how big it is, how it works. Like if I was in a store, I could hold it in my hand and turn it around and understand what's happening. But on your e-commerce website, I cannot. I will say I have seen sites where the photography is gorgeous and they've just pulled the most basic theme from the Shopify theme store. And that is a better site than if you pay us to make an amazing site and then you upload blurry gray photography. That is going to be a worse site. So the photography is one of the things where you're like, I have a little budget. I wonder if I should put it to improving my site or paying for ads or whatever. I would say put that towards photography, especially if you don't have a huge product turnover and you can use those photos for a while. Photography is going to make a huge difference. So yeah, if you're just like, I'm overwhelmed by the tech part, I don't know how to get my conversion rate up, this is all annoying, but you're going, hey, maybe I could make my product photos better, I would say definitely look into that if you're not feeling super confident about product photos. Okay, I have about 5 minutes. Is there anything I talked about that perhaps I could explain a bit better, or anything you're wondering about your own site that we didn't cover? If I don't get a chat up, what I'm going to do is I have a couple sites we didn't look at, and I could share my screen again and give each person who emailed me like 1 tip. So I'm keeping my eye on the chat a little bit, but I think I'm going to pop open a site we didn't have a chance to look at. Okay, I need to share my screen again. Okay, we're gonna do super lightning round. I'm not gonna be able to look at the chat and do super lightning round, so if you suddenly have a question, feel free to interrupt me, but otherwise I'm sharing my screen and we're doing super lightning round. This is Ivy Wild. I glanced at this one before. My 1 tip is put more information on the homepage. There's not a lot here. It's like 1 scroll and I'm done. So everything we talked about, it'd be great to see a big hero image here. It'd be great to see a description of what makes your business special. I love meeting you here, but I wonder if there's a photo of you in your studio, and there's nothing in this footer. So let's just put a little more stuff here. And you don't need the shop link. Let's just pull your products out so people can find them. Okay, lightning round. Mary Draper, I don't know if you're here. We just talked about product photography, Mary, and looking at your site, This just feels like I can see the edges of this card curling and it looks gray. It isn't well lit. I think having professional photos of your cards and illustrations would make them look a lot more professional. So I would recommend that to you. Again, I see the shop link and I don't know what you sell, so seeing the categories here would be wonderful. Oh, somebody in the chat has been added to the paper round. Let's do the lightning round. I said paper because our site is paper. If you want me to do lightning round on you, I'd love you to add your thing into the shop because, or into the chat because I know you're here and it's more fun to do it for people who are here. Paper gem, we don't need a home link. The rest of this makes sense to me on glance. Wow, that tissue paper looks fancy and I love that it's compostable. This is pretty good. I wonder, like that top photo, maybe seeing the tissue paper in use, but it's also such a gorgeous photo. So I like this. Why choose? This is wonderful. Ooh, look, the pop-up waited a second for me to be interested, and I am interested now, so that's cool. Oh, I see one thing here, first name and email address. We want to make this so simple for people. So we recommend just email address here, and then if later you want their first name, you can ask that question in one of your emails and have them fill in a little more detail. And we have the emails here again. I don't know if this is on every page of your site. So if this is part of the footer and people always see it, that is awesome. But if it's not part of the footer and you can only see it on the homepage, I would make sure people can always get to it. And then we did not talk really much about email offers, but subscribe to our emails is boring. Nobody wants emails. Emails are terrible. So I would just change the wording so the like wonderful gift I'm getting is not emails because the last thing I need in this world is emails. I know they will be emails, but call it something else, like a discount or a VIP or something. I'm going to do another lightning option here if somebody has posted in the chat, which Zoom, I need your control bar to work better. I'm going to link to an article that explains things that you can offer and make that more exciting for your email thingy. Kirsty, a jar of pickles. I looked at yours before we started this, but it's like really good. It's too good. But there are a couple things that I would change about this one. What was it? Reviews, like reviews are wonderful, but people don't actually go, oh, I can't wait to read a whole page of reviews. So I prefer to sprinkle those everywhere instead. And this little buzz thing here is so cool. I love that your branding is all over the place. There isn't, I mean, you have this one small sentence about what makes you special. I kind of want it up a little higher. I feel like I eventually get it as I go through, but like, who are you? What's your deal? Why do I care? I think that'd be awesome. This is wonderful, more than a decade. Meeting you is wonderful. I think just like a tiny preview of all you're about to tell me at the top might be awesome. So like join our journey. That's more fun than get emails, right? Emails are the worst. 10% off your first order, that's pretty standard. You might think if there's something else you can offer people, but whatever. And then we're just missing that shop menu down here. I would love to be able to shop once I have gotten down here.
Thank you so
So that's my
much.
super
helpful.
lightning round.
So
Hello,
helpful.
yes.
Hi, thanks.
Hi, thanks. Zoom has lost my chat again. Okay, I have 1 minute. We're gonna do Leela. Okay, shop, portfolio, about, news, wholesale. This is tons of stuff. Ooh, look how pretty these photos are. And we've got this like whole vibe video. I love that. I think a thing that happens with artists is, oh, this is lovely. I don't know why this just says dot. I would love to see like a heading on here. And then stay in touch is just your Instagram. I don't know if that's makes the most sense to me. But this thing I'm going to say about artists is that often there is a portfolio and there's wholesale and all this. And then the menu gets to be a lot of stuff. I would love you to think about or find out like who are the people on your site. If it's 98% retail customers and 1% wholesalers and 1% who are going to license, I might make the shop the very top priority, and then your wholesalers and licensors can find more info down here in the footer. They know how to look for that kind of stuff. So just a way to streamline your menu. And then, okay, we're at the hour, but I'm just gonna do Adrienne because she wrote lightning here. That's fun. So anybody who has to go, go ahead and go. We will email you, and then I'm gonna do like 30 seconds on this one. We just talked about shop and portfolio, so we might want to think about how to feature that. And then shop, you go, and then the categories are here. So if you don't have a lot of products, that's fine to not have shop categories and just have them all here. And I see we're kind of filtering by what it is. That's wonderful. This is too much information to ask people in a sign up form, and I would love a lot more information in the footer so I can figure out what to go, where to go, and what's going on. Okay. The rest of this is looking pretty normal. I like it. All right. And thus concludes the website reviews. Those are always fun. I love to do them. Thank you for participating. We're going to send you some follow-up emails. We're actually doing something new this time, and you're going to be getting, like, I think 5-ish emails that go over a lot of the stuff I've been talking about in more details, and it's more digestible, and you can read some blog posts and figure out what to do. So expect to get those. If you don't want those and they're driving you crazy, just email me back and say, no, thank you. And I will remove you from those extra emails, and you'll keep getting our newsletter. If anybody has a particular thing they would like to talk to me about one-on-one, just like email me back with any of the emails that I send you, or send an email to me. I'm always happy to answer business questions and point you in the right direction. So don't hesitate to reach out. I love it. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you and goodbye, and hang out on my mailing list for other cool things that we're going to be doing this fall.